Welcome to another round of the Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. John Nelson here with you. Next little while, we're going to take a peek at who is inside the state of Georgia chasing after national championships. The NAIA kicking back in with their round of 16 here at the beginning of the week, and we will hear from a couple of coaches on the men's and women's sides. It's going to be Life University's men's coach, Alex Pama, women's coach, McGonigle, and then we're going to go to Truett-McConnell and catch up with head coach David McDowell and find out what's going on with the Bears as they're all preparing for their trips to Orange Beach and Pensacola, if they're not already there, and getting ready for anything and everything that is attached to the championships in the NAIA on the men's and women's sides. We'll also take a peek at what's going on here with the NCAA ranks. And for that, it's going to be a look at NCAA Division III, both the men's and women's brackets, focusing on Emory University. And you look at the bracket, and on the women's side, they're into the Final Four. And after victories over Pomona-Pitzer, Johns Hopkins, Rhodes, and Belhaven, Emory's women have made it to the right-hand side. They're going to be in the second semifinal on December 4th, taking on Tufts, and they will know who, if they advance in that matchup, that they will play, which team out of the UAA it's going to be, Wash U or the University of Chicago, because those two are going to square off on the 4th of December at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Winner of that one will get to hang out and watch Tufts and Emory and find out who they're going to play in the championship game, and that's going to be on December the 6th at noon Eastern Time, and that is how it's going to break down. 3 of the 4 teams out of the UAA. And then you have, in addition to those, you've got Tufts. So Wash U and U Chicago, 3 o'clock December 4, and Emory taking on Tufts, 3 of the 4 out of the UAA, chasing after the championship on the women's side in Division III. On the men's side, it is once again the deepest that we have seen Emory University go when it comes to the NCAA tournament. And taking a look at the bracket there, once again, it is right-hand side of the bracket. It is Emory taking on the high-powered Trinity, Texas team, and that's going to be on the 5th of December. Once again, since it's the right-hand side of the bracket, as you look at it on a printed page, Tufts and St. Olaf on the left-hand side, they're going to play at 3 o'clock. Winner of that one takes on the winner of Trinity, Texas, and Emory. And then the championship game, Division III men, it's going to be on December the 7th, at noon Eastern Time. And so Emory, after advancing in PKs over Dickinson, knocking off Rowan 2-0, beating Hampton-Sydney 3-0, and beating Maryville, Tennessee by the score of 3-1, they have made it into the championship. So Emory Eagles taking on Trinity, Texas, and they are the second game of the doubleheader as Tufts and St. Olaf will be squaring off, and those are going to be the matchups in Division III. December 5th on the men's side, championship December 7th at noon Eastern Time. So that's the rundown of your semifinals and your final in the NCAA ranks in Division III, Emory chasing after titles in both. Our focus is going to be on the 3 sides in the NAIA, and the breakdown is in the men's bracket. They're heading to Orange Beach. The matchups in the championship bracket start bright and early on December the 1st. Bethel, Tennessee, and Grandview, Iowa, they take on each other at 10 o'clock in the morning. Then it is going to be Georgia Gwinnett and Cumberland. That one, the 8-9 matchup, is going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Steve DeCou, the head coach of Georgia Gwinnett College, is going to be joining SDHAM at 9:30 Monday morning on a game day, breaking down the season, taking a peek at Cumberland, Tennessee, and letting us know what he thinks of the NAIA bracket. And we'll catch up with him on Monday morning. Then Warner Pacific and LSU Shreveport, the 13 seed. That's going to be at 7 o'clock. But before that one, Cumberland's and Life in the 4-5 matchup. Cumberland's of Kentucky and Life University in the 4-5. That's going to be the matchup on the left-hand side of the bracket in the round of 16. Right-hand side of the bracket, they get the extra day to wait and find out what's going on. 10 o'clock in the morning local time, Oklahoma Wesleyan, the 2 seed, taking on William Penn. 1 o'clock, John Brown of Arkansas taking on Mid-American Nazarene of Kansas. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Bethel, Indiana taking on Indiana Tech. And the nightcap on Tuesday, on the 2nd of December in the round of 16, WVU Tech, the 11 seed, taking on Ottawa, Kansas. So that's your round of 16 on the men's side. On SDHAM, we caught up with the number 5 seed, Life Georgia, and the Running Eagles, Life University. Here's our conversation with Alex Pama about the season, about the playoffs, the matchup with Milligan, the 4-0 win, and what they're doing getting ready for the matchup against Cumberland, December 1st, 4 o'clock local time in the round of 16. It's 10 o'clock, and being incredibly punctual, as he always is. He's right there. He's on time, right there at 10 o'clock. He's ready to go. Practice is over, and he's ready to talk Life University soccer. We bring in their head coach, Alex Pama. Coach, thanks for the return visit. Thanks for dropping by. How was practice?
Practice was very good this morning. Thank you. You're spot on.
It was, I know that this time of year, it might be a bit of a challenge in a holiday week to try to make sure that everyone is practicing, be on the same page, not getting bogged down with L-tryptophan and everything else that's attached to turkey. How do you, in a postseason, juggle holiday and make sure that you're still getting the messaging, still getting everything that you want with the match on the other side of the holiday? How difficult is it practicing during a holiday week?
It's a little challenging, but we knew this was coming, and it falls right into it. So you kind of adjust a little bit, but the guys by NAIA rules are entitled to 1 day off anyway, so it falls right into that category. And then we gave them an extra day off on Friday to kind of heal their bodies. At this point of the season, it's all about healing. It's all about, maintaining a little bit of rhythm. But we're training Saturday and Sunday instead. Normally we don't train Saturday, Sunday, and now we're training because we're playing the round of 16 match on Monday.
When you're navigating all these different things and that round of 16 matches 5 days from now, obviously being as consistent as possible in your practice schedule is key, but with it being so far down the road, this time of year, that's a good thing. Instead of being in a rhythm, it's like, okay, we're playing and then we got a day off and then we're playing. You want that extra 5 days to heal up and get ready?
Yeah, I think so. I think at this time, most of the teams are all very good, but they're also a little bit beat up. Obviously, playing this many games in a short period of time, it's preferable, at least for us, to have a couple of days extra off so that they can heal their bodies, get more rest, do all of that. And at the same time, it is a little bit challenging not to get into a game rhythm, but you're trying to compensate with that in training, playing maybe a little bit more 11v11s, mimicking game situations a little bit more to keep some of that rhythm still there. But I think we all prefer here at Life that we have a couple of days off, rest, heal our bodies, re-energize, and then go again hard on Monday. And then we're lucky that we play on Monday because that means that our next game will not be till Thursday. So we have that extra day of rest as well, instead of playing the quarterfinal match on Tuesday, where you only have 1 day of rest. So, but without luck, you can't win championships. So we'll take it.
I was trying to do some quick math. Is it 14 different countries that are represented on the roster?
Yeah, you're about right. I think we usually around between 20, 21 different nationalities we have on the roster. I don't know if we have 14 now because we have a lot of Italians, a lot of Spanish guys on the team. So that might have made it reduce the variety of nationalities, but it's a lot. And it brings all the different cultures into the team and all the different playing styles, and you got to put it into your playing style. So it's not always easy. It's challenging, but we managed to do it so far.
So when you have the Eastern European influence, African influence, South America, and CONMEBOL, CONCACAF influence as well, and you're merging all of these different ideas of how these folks were raised and wanting to come into your system, how much reining in and redirecting and rewiring of the brain does it take to make sure that they understand what you're hunting for and that they go in that direction in addition to what they know from back home?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's my staff and I mean, we are international ourselves. So, and it's all about communication. It's all about, communicating with the guys what we want early on, even in the recruiting process, so that you recruit the right type of player as well, because not every player can play in the American college system. You've got the challenge sometimes with guys who come from a very high professional academy overseas in Europe, and they come into the American college system and they think it's going to be easier or it's a step down, but in fact they realize it's a totally different ballgame, and in some cases a step up from what they're used to. So yeah, and as long as you communicate with the guys, we show video, we use a lot of video early on in the season. We talk to them, not just as a group, but we also talk to them individually. We talk to them in the lines so that everybody understands their role fairly quickly, and because you don't have a lot of time. And I sometimes joke, one of my good friends is the national team coach of Suriname. He's in the World Cup qualifying right now, and we joke about that my job might be a little bit more difficult than his job, because we have to not only gel them in a short period of time and fit them into the system, but we also have to win.
So what are those conversations like when you have a friend of yours who's chasing after a World Cup berth and moments of history for a country, especially in this cycle as chaotic as it's been because the last CONCACAF match day was off the rails? What are those conversations like? Does he come to you for sanity breaks? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, we've been friends from our days in the pro world in Europe, and obviously it's good to bounce ideas, because sometimes as a head coach you're a little bit lonely. Who are you going to talk to? If somebody can relate to your situation, it's easier to have a conversation with that person and sometimes bounce ideas or just relieve some of the stress. It's better to vent to a good friend than to do it in front of other people. So but like I said, we joke about because he's obviously curious about what the college system is like, and I always often say to him, my job is 10 times more difficult than your job. So, but of course, this cycle in the World Cup qualifier, I mean, he's got to play Bolivia next. So that's not an easy feature and an easy game to play. So I wish him well, and I'm happy for little Curacao that made it. I've been there quite a bit, and I help teams on Bonaire, their sister island. So very excited for this World Cup coming up, and the countries that finally have a chance to qualify, because the powerhouses already are in the CONCACAF. So exciting.
When, other than Stanley, who else is on your speed dial when you have questions about, because you mentioned coaching can be a lonely business because you've got your set way and there really aren't folks to bounce things off of. I imagine that your phone calls to Stanley are either WhatsApp or you've got unlimited talk and text and an international calling on your phone. Who else is on your speed dial in situations like that?
A lot of people, but even in the NAIA or in the Division One, NCAA Division One levels, we when you've been in the game as long as I have, you have a lot of friends and a lot of colleagues that you kind of share experiences with, or you call. Steve DeCoux from Georgia Gwinnett is a very dear friend. Barry from William Carey, Lee Squires, Georgia Southern. So these are all great guys. These are all people that you once in a while call and bounce ideas off, or you discuss just the latest developments in the collegiate game. So that's just to name a few, but there's more than that. I'm probably forgetting one or two guys.
And Georgia Gwinnett, for folks that may not know, they're north of you. They are upper left in the bracket. They've got Cumberland to Tennessee on December 1st at 1 o'clock. You've got the 4 o'clocker with Cumberland's of Kentucky low left as you fill out brackets in Penn. When you had the matchup against Milligan, and you win that one 4-0, and I think goal number 4, if I remember correctly, was an own goal. So you had 3 of your own offense, 1 creating pressure, and a header that was supposed to go back to the keeper that went in the back of the net for 4th goal against Milligan. What are some of your takeaways from that Milligan game that you think will help you get ready for the round of 16 on the 1st against Cumberland's of Kentucky?
I mean, the first one was that the boys played like we've played all year long, with high intensity, quick transition. We are one of the most offensive teams in college soccer, not just the NAIA, but across the board. We if you look at a number of shots, a number of goals that we score. So, but most importantly, they stayed within the game plan. They stayed what we've been doing all year long, which we are a quick transition team. We're a quick offensive team. They did that. But what was very impressive in that particular game was that because of the scoreline being 3-0 up early in the second half, and then red card as well, so down to 10 men, it allowed me to put my bench on the field in the second half. And to see the bench execute the game plan exactly the way the starters do was very encouraging, because also in this point of the season, you need depth on your roster. And when those guys can maintain the high standards, that's a very good sign for us.
I think if, once again, and me doing math early in the morning is always a challenge, 61 goals in 19 matches, your first 19 matches, so that's like 3.25. And the other stat that sticks out is that you've only allowed 17 this season, so it's a goals against of about 0.9. When you have an offense and the demands that you have on the offense, and they're creating as they are, but at the same time you're doing so well defensively where you've only given up 17 and 19, what does that speak about them working both sides of the ball, getting back what they need to, drifting back into position, and understanding their roles when they don't have possession and they're trying to get it back so they can get those 3.25 that they put in the back of the net? What's it like to have two-sided players the way that you've got?
Yeah, that's part of the game, right? I mean, in the beginning of the season, of the 17 goals allowed, I mean, we in the beginning of the season, most of our goals were allowed back then, and most of them came from set pieces. So we told the guys early on in the year, okay, let's focus on that one day a week. One of our staff members got assigned set pieces, and Matheus Brandão, my assistant from Brazil, he did a very good job, And I said to the lads, if we can reduce the goals against by 50% out of set pieces or standard situations, that's going to even increase our chances to win a championship. So the guys bought into that, and they saw the difference, because very few goals we allow from the field. So our transition game offensively, as I just mentioned, is very good, but our transition game defensively is also very good. And you got to defend with all 11 players. You can't play just with the 4 guys in the back or the 3 guys in the back, however you want to defend. And then, like I said, we have a very good goalkeeper, experienced goalkeeper that leads that back line that we brought in from Missouri Baptist. He's a transfer player. Then you have, I think we have one of the best defenders in the country. I think this young man will go a level above us after he's done with college. Devin Korn, he's the captain as well. But it's the whole team really that is impressive, the way they are defending. My captain sent me a little clip from that Milligan game a day, I think it was yesterday, where he showed the defensive transition, and 9 guys were sprinting back as soon as we lost the ball. So that right there is why on both sides of the game we are successful so far.
And getting ready for the round of 16 coming up first of the week in the NAIA title chase. It's Alex Pama, the head coach on the men's side for Life U, hanging out with us here on the morning show on a Wall Pass Wednesday. I think it's 16 different goal scorers that you have this year, but you have a freshman with 17 goals as your leading scorer, and Andre Apostu. What's it been like to see him instantly grasp what's going on and just take the reins the way that he has? 17 goals and 1 assist so far this season. That's strong for a freshman to come into a situation, especially from Romania, and come in, be a part of what you're looking for there at Life, and give you the results that he's given you so far. What's that been like to see?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. Obviously, he's player of the year in the Southern States Athletic Conference. Also freshman of the year. But he got injured in the last regular season game, so we didn't play him in the conference tournament, and we didn't play him in the opening round of the national tournament. He is back for this round of 16 game, and we can tell the difference in training these last 3 days. He is a very dangerous player. He's a mature player. He's another one of those candidates that probably will play one level above us in the near future, be it MLS or be it USL championship, because he's got those qualities. And yeah, he's just a very dangerous player, but a very complete player. But what makes him special is that he stays humble. Success doesn't go to his head. Last year we had with Thomas Rodella, the Golden Boot winner, a similar type of guy. We don't, in our culture, team culture, we don't allow that also for that to happen. We don't like that. So we try to stay humble. We're trying to stay focused on the task. And I tell my guys, keep your head down. Good things will come to you if you just keep producing results. And I think Andre is one of those guys that that will go further. But if you speak to him, you'll probably agree with me. What a super nice guy. I even told him he can date my daughter. I mean, that's how much I like him.
How much study hall have you gotten in on Cumberland's, or are you the kind of coach this time of year that you focus on yourself and whatever's going to happen is going to happen?
Yeah, we spent a good 3-4 hours yesterday watching film on Cumberland's. Interesting group, a very talented group. Went to the semifinals of the national tournament last year. Of course, this year is a different team. We played them earlier in the season, although that's not a very good reference because it was early in the season, so the teams were looking a little different than they look today. And they got an early red card, so it was 11 against 10. But we beat them before. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. At this point in the tournament, I don't think there's any more easy teams. You got to, play your best in order to advance and go after the big trophy.
Yeah, there were, I think, 6 teams that were unranked that have made it into the round of 16 here coming up first of the week. When you're looking at film on an opponent, how far back do you go? Do you sit there, okay, we played them previously, we'll look at that, we'll look at some things, and then we'll look at their last match? How far back and how in-depth do you go when you go and chase after an opponent's film?
Yeah, we did go look a little bit towards, but we quickly decided as a staff to move away from the first time we played them. We did look at the rosters. We saw the differences. So we were like, okay, let's focus on what they look like now. So we looked a little bit on that, but we mostly focused on the last 2-3 games that they played and then dissected them. There's certain things that Coach Neto does that are similar from year to year. I'm sure when they analyze us, it's the same thing with me and my teams. So we are familiar with them. And then with those things, and now we're looking at some, details and see where you can get an advantage and then relay that on to the guys on Saturday and Sunday so that they know Monday what to expect. And in training, we've kind of touched upon it a little bit already today, this morning.
4 o'clock in Orange Beach on the first, round of 16, the 5-seed Life taking on the 12 Cumberlands of Kentucky. Low left as you fill out your brackets and pen. Safe travels. First and foremost, have a great holiday. Thanks for coming on the day before a holiday. Make sure, I guess, that let me ask before you go. How big a celebrator of Thanksgiving are you with everyone that's around?
Oh, it's huge. It's one of my favorite holidays of the year. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well. And
yeah.
You've been class all year long with covering college soccer. So we thank you guys for the intention and the well wishes.
Absolutely. What is your go-to dish at the Thanksgiving table that it's like, that's mine, no one else can have it? What's the one that you monopolize?
The honey baked ham.
Okay. And is there a dish on the table that is atypical to Thanksgiving that is there? Is there a wild card anywhere that is there? Are you straight up?
I'm married to an Italian woman. You can probably see my face. I mean, she feeds me very well.
Oh, fantastic.
And so there's so many dishes on that table that sometimes I wonder, they start cooking early in the morning and the rest of the day. I try to stay out of the way because that's not my domain. I love Thanksgiving, having the whole family back home. It's always nice.
Be safe, Coach. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the Italian and the honey-baked ham, and be safe down there in Orange Beach. We'll catch up with you on the flip side. Thanks again.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There goes Alex Pama. He's the head coach of the men's side at Live View. And an Italian, married to an Italian, I just have these visions of like mounds of pasta in addition to the honey-baked ham there on the table. I mean, that would be just, for me, that would be about as perfect as it gets. You get my wife's rice dish. You get that wild card. I'll just stick to the Italian food. Look, if you're going to make pasta, I'm not going to turn it down. Pasta on Thanksgiving to me sounds fantastic. And of course, obviously, as a head coach, you've got to have your carb load because you're still practicing and everything. So I get that. That is fantastic. So Italian, married to an Italian, there's got to be like massive amounts of Italian food on that table. Oh, that's fantastic. Anyway, now let's take a peek of the women's side, let you know what's going on there in the NAIA National Championship. So you go into the women's side, once again, they're in round of 16 as well. And so it'll be interesting to see how things continue to grow and evolve. You had a handful of teams in the men's bracket that were not ranked in the top 16 made their way in through the play-in games, and now everybody congregating to the Ashton-Brosnaham Soccer Complex in Pensacola, Florida. So the championship bracket as we know it, once again, round of 16, 10 o'clock in the morning, December 1st local time, Marion of Indiana taking on number 16, Taylor of Indiana. 1 o'clock, Mid-American Nazarene taking on Oklahoma Wesleyan, the 8. 4 o'clock, College of Idaho taking on Cumberlands of Kentucky, the 4-13. And chalk on the rest of the left-hand side of the bracket, 7 of the 8 of the 16 ranked teams making their way into the round of 16. Number 12 seed Life of Georgia, the Running Eagles taking on John Brown, the 5 seed out of Arkansas. Here's our conversation that we had with Running Eagles head coach Meg McGonigle about making it down to Pensacola, Florida, and chasing after a championship in the NAIA. We get to go back to the NAIA and find out what's going on with Life University. The Running Eagles are involved in the NAIA Nationals that start next week in Orange Beach and in Pensacola, men's and women's. We talked to Coach Pama before Thanksgiving. We're catching up with Meg McGonigle after Thanksgiving to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on the women's side. So what is going on the women's side, Coach? Thanks for dropping by the morning show.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, exciting time for us. We're still playing and it's almost December, which is what you want. So we're getting ready for a trip to Pensacola. We leave on Saturday to start in the Sweet 16 at the final site down there.
When you look at this season coming in, what were your expectations and the team's expectations coming into play this season?
We always want to be competitive on a national level. So at a conference level, we have one of the best teams in the country within our conference. So if we can be competitive there, I feel like we've set ourselves up pretty well to be competitive nationally. And we've done that at the conference level. The goals are always to win as many soccer games as you can and to do it the right way. So we have a really good group of committed girls who have been here since July, sacrificing weekends and family events and early nights or late nights to get themselves ready and to be able to compete week in, week out. And we know that task isn't easy. So I'm just keep begging them right now. It's 2 weeks at the most that you've got to put your head down and work and eat a little bit less turkey yesterday and a little bit less pumpkin pie, and it will all be worth it in the long run. So we've had that group. They've done it. They've continued to do it week in, week out. So I think it is a special group, and getting them to buy into one vision and playing together has been the goal, and it's what they've done.
Was there a moment in the season when you're sitting there thinking, yeah, everything is clicked and pieced together, or has it been this gradual process that you're looking for and peaking at this time of year? How did it look to you from the touchline as they were evolving this season?
I think it's always a process. And I think even now we're still looking at how can we be better? What can we improve? What can we tweak? And knowing that we've got a good thing going that's been winning, so not wanting to change it completely, but how can we keep evolving? So I think it's a process. I think it's continued to develop. We've had moments where I felt we played poorly on the road and come out with a win still. So I think although it was a poor performance, I think that's kind of a turning moment, that we're still winning when we're not playing at our best. We've gone and traveled to some tough places in some tough circumstances. We were at a game where the field got flooded 60 minutes into the game and we're winning and we're up and we've got momentum. But we want to see the game. It's not going to be an official game if we don't wait it out. And then what does that look like for the last 30 minutes of the game? But the sort of professionalism and the maturity through the whole season from this group has been fantastic. And I think those are the pieces that have helped us develop and grow. And we've got some really good senior leaders, some girls that have been with the program for 4 years, some girls that have transferred in as fifth-year seniors who have just helped grow us. So I think it's been a process, and I think it continues to be a process, and we continue to learn. And I think the development piece of all of it, the coaching staff, the players, is been massive within our growth.
When you look at the roster, I believe it's 6 countries outside the United States that are also a part of the roster. There's a great Georgia contingent as well, and there's Southeastern and U.S., but there's also, I think, half a dozen countries, 6 or 7 other countries from the other side of the Atlantic that have integrated to be a part of the roster this year. How difficult is that when you've got half a dozen countries and players that grow up with ideas and systems that are might be more country based than what they're used to? Then they come over here, and then you have to take all of those different sections and all those different ingredients and turn it into that roux that you're looking for. How difficult is it to take all these different pieces and piece it together like that?
I think I'm in my 3rd season here now. I think we have our core. So the core each year of what we're trying to do, who we want to be, what kind of our core principles are, is going to be the same. And then we add in these different pieces, and can they fit into that core? And then what else do they bring? I always say, it's a puzzle every fall that I have to put together, and the core of it will be the same. We're going to have these principles that who we are, what we do, but how do the pieces fit together now? Because the puzzle looks different to what it did last year, even in the last spring. I think because we have that core, I think the transition in is easier. Like, these are the things that we're not swaying from. But different players from different places can add different things. And we think that's important as well. We have got a really good core group of Georgia girls, and we've made an effort to recruit the local player just because there's such good soccer here and there's so much of it. So that's kind of built now, which is great, and that keeps ticking over each year. And then what can we add in? We're always just looking for the best soccer player we can find. And I always say, we get asked a lot, what are you looking for position-wise? Yeah, we have certain needs in the recruiting cycle each year that we need to find. But if you've got a really good soccer player and she's a left back, and we have returned our left back, I'm sure we're going to find a way to put the puzzle together differently to get them both in the system. So we're just looking for good soccer players, good people that want to buy into hard work and grinding and winning games and trying to be competitive each year.
18-2-1 heading down to the Nationals, and you're averaging about 5 goals a match. And the thing that was staggering to me is that it's 25.5 shots per match, just under 5 goals per match. And you've only given up 16 goals this season so far in your first 21 matches. Time to brag on the team a little bit. What's it like? Let me start with defense. Defense has only given up those 16 goals. What's it like to have a defense that has been as locked down as your defense has been this year?
Yeah, we've got a great group of girls there that are committed to blocking shots, heading balls, staying organized and compact, not giving much away. And we have a really good goalkeeper behind them. I always tell them, like, I do not want my goalkeeper to be the star of the show, because that means we're giving up too much. But she's been superb throughout the whole season. And she has been a star. So we have her, which helps for sure. But we've got 3 to 5 girls that we've got in that defensive rotation in that back line right now who have just been solid and committed. But we run our defense from our front line. Like, we're putting pressure on the ball high. We're making those forwards work. And work. And without that work, the back line doesn't get to do what they do. So I think it is a whole group of 11 players that are defending for us. And I think sometimes we talk about people coming in and these forwards coming in looking at me like I'm crazy that they're going to have to do so much defensive work. But I think if you can keep the ball out of the net, then you're in any soccer game you want. And that's what they've done really, really well. So we're always looking every time we give up a goal, like what went wrong there. But yeah, we haven't given up many. And I think that's really allowed us to stay in every single soccer game we've been in.
3 players double digits in scoring, and one of them is a senior from Middlesbrough. You've got 2 Georgians that are your other 2 double-digit goal scorers, but your leading scorer this year is Sasha Millward, 26 goals on the season. And the thing is, she's only started 9 games of the 21 that you've played so far, and she's got 26 goals on the board.
Yeah, she's a starter. So we have a rotation of players, and she's in that rotation. So she is. I'm fighting for her for all conference and awards within our conference. It's a tactical decision to do that. I just told you we work so hard with that front line defensively. If we can kind of weather the game for 15, 20 minutes there, tire the other team out, and then put Sasha in, she's just had so much success at scoring goals in those moments. And she works defensively as well, but if we think about her being our most clinical finisher right now, if we can take away the first 15 minutes, the speed that gets put on your legs there, and it's a little bit more frantic and it's a little bit of a boxing match, if we can take that off her workload, she plays starting minutes each game. Every big game we're in, whether she starts or not, she's 60, 70 plus minutes. She just doesn't get that start. So it's a really tactical decision, which Sasha understands and has bought into. We've had her in our starting group for the last couple of matches, just because I also know that we get a chance in that first 15 minutes, and who do I want it to fall to right now? And it would be Sasha. So I think we're still, again, developing and growing and playing around with things there. And I think each game we're looking at what we think is best tactically. But that's been that decision there to not start her. So she's had starting minutes, but she's just come from off the bench.
Yep. Meg McGonigle, women's head coach at Life U, hanging out with us here to kick off Freestyle Friday as she gets ready for a roadie to go down to nationals in Pensacola in the NAIA starting next week. And I think, 22 different goal scorers this year to put, that's a lot of different numbers and names that you've got to keep up with stats with in that G category. Yeah,
we've been lucky that our first rotation of players have done the job. And just with how college rules and soccer is, we can rotate through as many players as we want through that game, through the regular season. So it's given us the opportunity to see more players and get them in the game. And I think that speaks to them buying into what we do, understanding our process, understanding that their time will come, and then taking those minutes when they come. So we've had a really good group. We've got a good freshman class this year who are learning and experiencing and growing and have gone through this whole process with us. So I think by next year, they're going to be really eager, ready and hungry. But a lot of them have stepped up in those moments and found goals and found stats, and it's been fantastic to see.
So for someone who hasn't had the chance to catch you either on video or in person this year, how would you describe what you want to do when things are going your way? Say whistle blows, everything's rolling, and you're getting done what you want to get done. How would you describe what you want to do philosophically for someone who's never seen you this year?
Yeah, I think we're really defensively organized. So I think that's kind of one of our core principles, that we will work hard defensively. We're transition back. We're going to get numbers behind the ball. And part of that defense is going out and being the aggressor when we haven't got it. So we go chase down a lot of balls that people might leave. We step up as high as we can. We have an emergency almost exit plan to get organized and get back if we need to. When we've got the ball, we like to possess, but I think it has to have a purpose. We don't need to connect 400 passes within a game if it's not getting us anywhere. And I think that speaks to how many shots we're getting off a game. Like, we have a purpose with our possession. We've tried to be a little bit more concentrated on our set pieces, where I think that was something we missed last fall with just having success in being dominant there. And we've got a few girls right now who are serving good balls and putting them into good areas, and then girls that will go chasing down. So I think, defensively organized, hardworking, possession with a purpose, like to go to the goal, like to make it exciting to watch. No one wants to watch us pass the ball around the back for 20 minutes. So if we can go forward, we will. But it's not kick and run soccer. I think we've got a plan, and if we need to be direct, we can be. If we can play through the lines, we'd rather be that team. But we'll play whatever the opponent gives us, and we talk about that a lot. And that's kind of a problem-solving piece that we put on ourselves as a coaching staff and put on the team. Like, how do we solve this problem right now to get to the goal? And we've got a number of ways that we can do it.
Is it safe to say that Guardiola would be an idea where if you're on the front foot, then if you lose possession, you give yourself 5 seconds, and then if you don't, you go back to your emergency exit strategy to try to group and get the ball back?
Yeah, we talk about it as controlled and uncontrolled moments. So a controlled moment would be like a goal kick. Okay, we can set ourselves up exactly player for player, spot to spot, how we want to be to go step up to press. An uncontrolled moment would be that, what you're talking about there, that lost possession. And are we set to press right now? Are we high enough? Has our back line moved high enough? If it is, we can go. And if not, then we got to get it controlled again to be able to go again. So I wouldn't say we're talking 5 seconds to go get it back, but we have similar principles in what we want to do there.
As the 12th seed coming into the tournament, you made it out of round number 1, and it was a 2-0 win over Tennessee Wesleyan over at Marathon. What did you learn about yourself in that match that's carried forward to December 1st? And you get the late night game with John Brown. But what did you learn about yourself in round 2 with Tennessee Wesleyan?
I think we learned that we've got good depth. We used a lot of players in that game. A lot of girls stepped up to have good minutes. Dallas Tapia stepped up to help us get that first goal. She came off the bench. She's one of those players as well that could be in our starting lineup. She's for sure in our rotation, plays big minutes for us. She's come off an injury that she had earlier in the fall, but she's really found her feet now. So to see her step up in that moment as a local sophomore was awesome to see. I think it's good for us to play on the grass. We're so used to playing on turf to get down to marathon and have the grass. Was good. The field was a good big size. So I think it's going to be similar to what we see in Pensacola in terms of that. But the girls did it. They didn't shy away from the stage. We talked about it just being another soccer game and us wanting this game when we were talking about things in August and July, and to not get scared of that pressured moment. We saw a really different system of what Tennessee Wesleyan did, and helping them problem solve that was awesome, and watching them do that. So I think it was a really good, well-rounded performance from the whole team. Got the goals that we needed to get, and I think that was going to be our biggest thing. Can we score the goal? I felt like we kept them away from our net, pretty much controlled most of the game. But they managed the game well. We got the early first half goal, and then managed to get one at a good time in the second half. So I felt like we controlled it all, and I felt like it was a really good moment for them to step up as a group and learn and not shy away from that moment, which they didn't.
Looking at the round of 16, it's a lot of chalk. A lot of the top 16 seeds have made their way through. When you're looking at a team like John Brown, or when you're going into a tournament like this, how far back do you go when you're looking at tape, when you're trying to look at tendencies on an opponent, something like that? I mean, some folks may go back to the beginning of the year. Some folks may go back to if you've played them before. When you're trying to figure out an opponent, how far back do you go?
Yeah, and I have played them before. I was in Missouri for a long time, so that was a matchup that we found there in our non-conference. I think maybe even every year I was there. So I know the coach, respect her. She does a great job year in, year out with that program. They've just been consistently on that national level. So kind of know tendencies that she has. And then you got to see what the personnel is for the year. I will watch any film that anyone will give me for this season of them. And just try and study as much as possible so that we know, okay, maybe it's not gone their way, but what could be a change that they go to because they've done it in the season before. But we're trying to work out personnel, we're trying to work out strengths, trying to work out weaknesses. We're obviously looking at their system, but yeah, anything from the year that I can get my hands on, I'll watch. So we've done a lot of that, me and my staff, over the last week. But yeah, so I think in terms of what we know about them, kind of have this idea, and then really narrowing down on who they are this year is really important.
So if anyone out there has any tape or any intel on John Brown, please reach out to Coach McGonigle at herlife.edu email address. When you're in this kind of a situation and you've got questions, it's like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm like in the mud here. I don't know where I should proceed with something philosophically or how to attack a player. How big is your speed dial when it comes to asking questions of either friends who are in the industry or fellow coaches? How big is your speed dial, and who's on it when you've got questions as a coach?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have my immediate staff, so the people that are my assistants right now who know our team the best and who are doing what I do. So we've met earlier in the week last week, and everyone's kind of got their own scouting report, and I'll try and be quiet for the first, and it's hard for me to be quiet, I like to speak, first 15 minutes of that, and let them tell me what they've seen. And then we're slowly putting together a profile of what all of our opinions are, which can be different as well, which is also really, really good, to put together what our game plan should be and how we want to attack and how we want to defend it. We've got the men's staff as well, who like both programs work. They're different things, but we're both coaching soccer and we're both watching each other's team and program and problem solving. So we've got them that we can go bounce ideas off. My mentor has been John Klein, who's at Southeast Missouri right now. I was with him, played for him at Columbia College for 2 years and then worked for him for 7 years. He's someone that I called before our conference final game and said, hey, what do you do in this you were losing the game 1-0, last 10 minutes of the game, what's your plan? And like just little things like that. So my husband coached college soccer, so I've got him and someone that I can sit down and eat dinner with and say, well, you watched our group last night, what did you think? And so I have a great network of people around me that know soccer, no college sports, no sports. And you learn so much different things from different people. I coach a U15 club team, which completely different level and speed, but I'm learning stuff from that game sometimes and then thinking, oh, wait a minute, that would actually transition into this. I just like to be around the game and around like-minded people as much as possible. So I think that helps me. I think it keeps me grounded a little bit and lets me know what is a stress and what shouldn't be a stress sometimes when you're looking at little nitpicky things. So I've got a really good group of people around me that can help with those sort of problems.
Yeah, I just have this vision now that you and your husband are having spaghetti dinner, salad, spaghetti and everything, and you guys are sitting there and you're either talking about what's going on or you're not talking about what's going on after a loss, or what is that dynamic like? Where is there a line of like, okay, we'll talk about it up until we get to halfway through dinner. We'll talk about it through the salad and maybe a little bit into the main course, but we get to halfway point in dessert, we're not talking about it anymore.
He's pretty good. He's he did college soccer, so he gets the grind of what the season looks like. He comes and watches our games as much as possible, and he enjoys that. I have an opinion, which I value, so that's good. But no, I don't think we're our personal life can still be our personal life. We don't get stuck on Life Youth Soccer too much. But he's just someone who has coached at a high level, played at a high level, who knows the game, and who I can ask X, Y, and Z from, and he'll give me his opinion on that. Whether I think it's right or wrong is a different question, but I value a different opinion. And even if I think it's wrong, I tell this to my assistants, even if I think you're wrong, and I might tell you, no, I don't think that's right, I promise you I'm going to be thinking about it now, whether it's the next day or I go on my run or whatever I'm doing, sat in the office, it's at least in my head. And sometimes I might come around and be like, no, actually, I think you're right. So I do truly value an opinion that's not mine.
Well, we cannot wait to see what's going to go down in Pensacola with you and with Orange Beach with Coach Pama, as both Life teams have made it into the round of 16, kicking off on December 1st. You've got the late game, which is always good. You can sit there and stare at everybody else, and you're looking for as many overtimes and penalty kick shootouts as humanly possible, especially in the 4 o'clock game, which would be your next go-round on December 4th in the quarters. Coach, thanks for dropping by, especially on a holiday weekend, Black Friday. I know you're getting ready to pack and throw about 9 days worth of clothes into suitcases before you hit the buses. Thanks for dropping by the morning show. Safe travels. Good luck. We'll be keeping an eye. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Round of 16 on the right-hand side, December 2nd, William Carey, your 2 seed, taking on Embry-Riddle of Arizona. That's at 1 o'clock. But the morning game, local time, is Truett-McConnell and Grace of Indiana. And so Truett-McConnell, your 7 seed, taking on Grace, Indiana, the 10 o'clock in the morning local time on the 2nd. Here's our conversation that we had with the head coach of the Bears, David McDowell, and we found out what's going on at Truett-McConnell University as the Bears make it to Pensacola. And we get to catch up with David McDowell and find out what's going on with the Truett-McConnell Bears. They are in the postseason. They are in your bracket that you're filling out in pen. And we find out what's going on for the 10 seed on the women's side. Coach, thanks for dropping by. Where are you, in the library?
No, I mean, I put books in there to make myself look smart. This is my office.
Yes. Well, you see what I'm done in my office. I sit there and I just put up a bunch of scarves and lids and try to not to destroy the curtain rods and things down here in the office. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad that we were able to catch up with you at one of the I know that for coaches, one of the more busier times of the year. So welcome to the morning show. This is the chaos that you've gotten yourself into.
Well, it's definitely a privilege to be here this morning. I'm excited to talk with you guys about it.
When you came into the 2025 season, and for those that may not know the lay of the land and the geography right now, it's NAIA and it's in the Appalachian Conference. Mm-hmm. When you came into this season, what were the expectations for Truett-McConnell, both internally and in the NAIA soccer community on the women's side? What were the expectations coming into this year?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because we've been talking about that as a team. We graduated 10 girls last year. 9 of them were starters. And so we were curious to see how this year would go, because when you lose that core, there's a lot of transition. And so optimistically, we thought we would reload, but then realistically, we thought it'd be more of a rebuilding year. But we brought in some really good players. The returners came in strong, and things just started to click early on. We had a couple of tough early games that the girls kind of grinded through. And then with that, I think more belief came. And then as we got into the AAC conference, we started to find our rhythm. So what started off as let's just see what happens season has gradually just grown into something special.
For those that haven't had the chance to come and see you, who are some of the, let's put it this way, what's the star power this year? And has anyone that was not of an immediate focus coming into this season emerged out of that group as a pleasant surprise across the board? Who've been some of the stalwarts for you this year?
I mean, the majority of our attacking output has come really from our wingers, which is Bella Hodgson and Annabelle Trowski. They've come in. They're both upperclassmen, and they have just taken off. And they've scoring goals, getting a lot of assists. They've done really well. I think whenever I think about the other part, we've had a couple of girls that got some time last year, but have really thrived this year. I think one of two of our holding mids that are both sophomores, Lena Seidel and Ari Marvell, have really come in and established themselves as two excellent players within the system. So we've definitely got a lot of help from the whole group, but those girls in particular have really taken off this season.
And when you mention that, how have the upperclassmen helped the underclassmen navigate how tough the AAC is? Because I'll get into the conference question in a bit, because it is knockdown drag out at moments when you're talking about life in the Appalachian. How have the upperclassmen helped the lowerclassmen and the underclassmen navigate that conference and navigate that first match that you've had so far in the postseason in the bracket? Right.
Yeah. A lot of our discussion this year has been on standards. And, I've been at Truett now just over 20 years, and that's one thing that we've wanted to emphasize from the get-go. And so whenever you have a new group, such as we have this year, it's important that they grasp the importance of our standards and what our culture is. And I feel like the upperclassmen have done that really well. As I told them the other day, that they've really made this team their team, and they've emphasized the importance of the little details, the importance of coming to practice every day, wanting to compete, and then in games, taking nothing for granted. And I think they've really enforced, especially through their actions and their habits. I think the upperclassmen have really enforced the standards of the program.
Number 12 team in the country right now after the season and the conference, and getting into the first round of the playoffs with a win. Like I said, we'll get into that stuff in a second. Here's my Appalachian question. For someone who hasn't had the chance to see how nuts it can be when you're playing in the Appalachian, how would you break down where there are very few respites that you get in conference play? How tough is it to navigate the Appalachian Conference on a year-by-year basis?
Yeah, I know it might sound a little bit arrogant, but we've been winning the conference the last 8 years. And so what we're finding whenever we do compete in the AAC is that a lot of the teams, they're bringing their best game. It's almost their hope that they can be the ones to beat Truett. And so every game, while we can prepare for each opponent, that opponent usually shows something different, whether it's a different shape, different formation. A lot of times we're coming up against a really low block that we have to break down. So it takes patience. It takes a discipline to stay focused on what the game plan is. But every game, we know that particular conference team is saying, we have a chance to knock off Truett. We have a chance to beat the number 12 team in the nation. And it puts a massive target on our backs. But I think the girls enjoy that part of it.
One of the other things that you notice about your roster is I think it's 9 different countries that are represented.
Yeah.
So it is you're dealing with everything from Wales to the Netherlands to Germany to Canada to Bogart and Pendergrass, Georgia. I mean, it is a lot of different metropoli, for the plural metropolises, a lot of different metropoli coming together for you and that staff to make that Truett-McConnell roster.
Yeah.
How much of a challenge is it, to recruit to Truett-McConnell? Because there's a lot of European talent that has made their way over there to be there in the North Georgia mountains. How difficult is it to recruit Europe, to convince them to go to Truett? And then when it comes to blending everyone that comes in, whether it's Canada or Europe, with everyone from the state of Georgia that's a part of this, how difficult is it to navigate that melting pot?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's tough, and I would say the majority of our time as a coaching staff is put into recruiting. I mentioned earlier the importance of our culture, and our culture is based on finding great players, but also great people. And I'm a big believer that if you can create that family environment where you've got a group of girls that they're more focused on the interests of their teammates than themselves, you can do some really good things. And so we found over the course of time, the more that you recruit that type of player, that type of student athlete, it attracts other girls to come to it. Plus, again, I know it sounds arrogant, but our playing style has become quite appealing to a lot of girls. We are a very possession-based team. We encourage girls to be on the ball, and when we recruit, we try to find girls that value the ball no matter what their position is. So in most games, without exaggeration, we probably have about 70% of the ball, and so the girls like that aspect, that they're encouraged to be brave, they're encouraged to take chances, and I think that combination of our playing style plus a culture that focuses on the person just as much as the player has allowed us to recruit some really top level players, both within the United States and overseas. And as you know, Atlanta's, it's a hot spot for soccer as well. And so we can find some really, hidden gems within Georgia and mix them with just some top level internationals as well.
What's it been like for you to see the game grow the way that it has on the high school and the collegiate level, where you look at your roster, and for us, when we cover the high school game, I'm just reading high schools here: West Lawrence, East Hall, Carrollton, Columbus, Walnut Grove, Whitewater, Hebron Christian, East Side, Jackson County, Callaway. These are some heavyweight schools in the lower classifications in the state of Georgia that you're sitting there and going, you like what you're doing. These are some heavyweight schools that you're bringing talent from.
Yeah. We do a lot of work in our recruiting process, and we don't just kind of throw out a big net and say, oh, let's hope we get a certain group of girls. We're very specific in who we're looking at. And as I mentioned, we're finding girls that are coming from those heavyweight schools that say, yeah, there's other options and I could go to this school, but there's something about Truett, whether it's the family atmosphere or the success of the program, that is encouraging girls to say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. And that's very important to me, because as the girls know, we emphasize so much being a big family, and it's hard whenever you have a large team to have that family atmosphere. But again, when you have girls that embrace what the culture is, no matter where you're coming from, once you buy into that, you're going to have success, in my opinion.
How much of a culture shock is it for the players that come from Europe to see what life is like up there in Cleveland, and the integration of all of that stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. I try to be as open and honest in the recruiting process with them, to know, okay, this is what Cleveland is. We'll do a little Zoom call where we show them campus and the surrounding area. But seeing it and hearing it is one thing, but once you get immersed in the North Georgia mountains, it's different. Even little things such as, in Europe especially, you walk everywhere, or there's a lot of public transport. In America, you drive. Girls will drive from their dorm room to the cafeteria, and it's like 200 yards. So yeah, even the little things make up that culture shock that you're referring to. So yeah, it takes some time to assimilate. But I think, again, when you're within a team that says, here, I'll help you with this. Do you need a ride here, or do you need me to help you with your phone or whatever it is, that helps the assimilation happen much smoother.
David McDowell, head coach of the women's side at Truett-McConnell, hanging out with us here as they are getting ready for the second round of the NAIA tournament. And I mean, look, I as someone who has been on that campus, I know that lactic acidosis is not my best friend, because if all those hills that are there on that campus, if you're not properly hydrated and everything, you've got to be ready for that campus, man, and going into downtown Cleveland. I know all about it. But at the same time, you're looking for a specific kind of individual to be there at Truett-McConnell. It's not just the on the field stuff that you're looking at. You're looking at the whole person, because of the devotion that you have to giving back to the community. And I thought that the numbers, the number of man hours, the number of player hours that you guys give back to the community, I thought that was another cool aspect. And I know that when you're looking for those student athletes, that's got to be another part of that too. Yeah.
The one of our core values that the girls hear from me a lot is servant leadership, and then the other one is excellence. And I'm a big believer that, you know, it's not just about what you're doing on the field. You want to pursue excellence in every area. And, you know, for me personally, you know, I've been given a lot, and I think it's important for these girls, especially in today's culture, to understand the importance of giving back. And so with the team, you know, we emphasize putting others before yourself, giving back to the community, and trying to help them understand certain habits now that are going to be better realized in life later on. And I think, as you and I can testify to, it gets tough in the real world. And for me, ultimately, the most important thing is preparing these girls for what happens after their time at Truett, and that real world scenario. And that's what I love about college athletics is, you know, we get to form these relationships and hopefully have an impact in their lives that makes them better people in their walk. So yeah.
When you look at the bracket, it was a second round matchup, because you bypassed it as the number 12 national ranked team, the number 10 seed in the overall tournament. You guys were waiting. You're in the second round. You're waiting to look at everybody else on the 20th. You had a matchup against Cumberland, Tennessee up there in round number 1. Did you anticipate that it would be as hairy as it got in the second half when they drew close to you there? Because we were looking at the highlights and saw that there was a little bit of distance, and then Cumberland comes back, and then you get the one late. Did you anticipate it being that hairy?
100%. I mean, Cumberland's a quality team. I mean, we've never beaten them before this year. In fact, last year they beat us 7-1 early on in the season. So we knew it was going to be a tough game. Their coach is very good. And our first half was tremendous. It's probably one of the best halves of soccer we've had in a long time. Scored 3 goals early. And it almost caused us to kind of fall into a little bit of a lull. But as you know, we told the girls at this level, every team we're playing now is good. And every team's going to have that sense of desperation to say, in 45 minutes, we may be done with our season, so we're going to give everything that we have. And so once the first goal went in, you know that leads to a little bit more momentum. And then the second goal happened, and you know, you start to sweat a little bit. But I will say what I was most pleased about from the girls was their response to the second goal. And they kind of just stuck together and didn't allow any more clear-cut chances after that. And then, of course, the fourth goal was what we were needing. It just settled everybody's nerves late on, and allowed us to kind of see the game out. But yeah, at 3-2, it gets a little bit nervous. But the girls' response to the second goal was huge.
And now you have a week that includes holiday activity before you head down and take care of the matchup in the round of 16 against Grace of Indiana. So it's a 7-10. It's chalk in your section of the bracket. Yeah. How do you navigate a holiday week? Obviously, you're sitting there going, first and foremost, yeah, man, we're still practicing and we're still playing. How do you navigate a holiday week plus travel to get ready for a round of 16 matchup against the national 7 seed?
Yeah. I mean, we made the decision early on, if we made it to the final site in Florida, we were going to give the girls this week off. So after the game Saturday, we allowed them to go home, and we said the only thing is we'll bring you back Thursday night. So have time with your family, have your Thanksgiving meal, and then we'll come back Thursday, train that night, train twice on Friday, and then we'll head out in Florida Saturday morning. So at this point in the season, I think what matters most is having more of a mental rest. It's such a long season. And, at this point, as we tell the girls all the time, we're not really going to teach you anything new. It's mostly about maintaining the sharpness. But I think the mental aspect of just renewing themselves, being around family and friends, I think that's probably the best recipe to have them come back as sharp as possible.
So when it comes to Thursday and the players that are, from Europe, how are they spending Thanksgiving? Are they going home with Georgia players and sharing the Thanksgiving experience? How are they celebrating Thanksgiving so far from home?
Yeah, so some of them did go home with some of our Georgia-based girls. There's a few that stayed on campus, and for them, Thanksgiving is just really more of another turkey meal. So they're focusing more on getting ahead in their homework, maybe just enjoying having the campus to themselves. But there are some there that they wanted more of the American experience, and so they went home with some of the Georgia girls.
Okay. How are the European players integrating to life in the Southeast? Huh?
Yeah, it's unique. I mean, a lot of our European girls are from larger cities within Europe, and whenever you come to Cleveland, Georgia, where there's maybe 4 traffic lights, and sometimes you get caught behind a tractor. It can be different, but I think they enjoy just what the atmosphere of Truett is, and the team is for them the most important part, and that's why for us it's about creating that family atmosphere for sure.
No doubt about it. It's great to catch up with you, Coach. Glad you made it out of round number 2, and have a fantastic Thanksgiving week.
Thank you,
and enjoy it everywhere, and just get down there safe, and then have a great time in the national national environment, the national bubble that's going to be down there next week. Week from today, 10 o'clock start. How are you going to navigate a 10 o'clock start on a Tuesday morning? I mean, literally, is it getting up at the crack of before? Like, are you getting up at like 4 a.m. or something? How does that push your game and all that?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think about that 10 o'clock start, and we're just going to have to embrace it. I mean, the day before that, Monday, we have a 8 o'clock practice. So I'm trying to create an environment where they're getting up, Sunday and Monday at the same time that they want to get up for Tuesday, and just kind of recreate what Tuesday may look like. But it'll be an early start, and hopefully most of the team are early risers. I mean, they've been having to get up for 6 a.m. workouts throughout the season. So hopefully, that kind of helps them get ready for a 10 o'clock kickoff.
All right, and we'll be keeping an eye on things, NAIA website, Urban Edge Network, down at the final site, and the bubble that is everybody chasing after a championship. Do not be a stranger. Have a fantastic holiday, and we'll be keeping an eye on you. Thanks for dropping by the morning show and letting us know about what's going on there at Truett with the Bears as you guys chase after an NAIA title on the women's side. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
David McDowell, the head coach for Truett-McConnell, as they chase after a championship in the NAIA. He's got some time off. So from his office, he came and visited this one. Low right side on the round of 16, December 2nd, Indiana Wesleyan at the 3 seed, taking on Kaiser of Florida, the 14 at 4 o'clock. Lindsey Wilson, the unranked in the top 16, 7 o'clock on the 2nd, taking on Missouri Valley. Then the quarterfinals are on December 4, semis on the 6th, and your finals in Pensacola are December the 8th. That is the Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. Once again, keep an eye on Emory at the end of the week in the NCAA Division III tournament, both men's and women's. NAIA action December 1st, December 2nd, then December 4th, 6th, 8th, all the way through, chasing after championships in Orange Beach and in Pensacola. Good luck to Truett-McConnell. Good luck to Life U. Good luck to Life U. Good luck to Emory. We'll keep an eye on all of you this week as you're chasing after championships in the NCAA and the NAIA. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by for another go-around of the Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Enjoy the games. We'll catch up with you next week.